there are many myths about Jesus. In these programs, we're talking to some experts who can help us get at the facts behind the myths. The first myth we are exploring is the claim that Jesus never even existed. So what evidence is there for him apart from the accounts in the Bible?
The idea that Jesus didn't exist at all is an exercise in excessive historical skepticism that pays no attention to history whatsoever.
There's a challenge which has gone out on the internet by someone called John Dickson, who said he would eat a page of his Bible if someone could find a tenured faculty member of a ancient history department who did not believe that Jesus Christ existed. And so far he hasn't had to do that.
We have terrific evidence not only for the existence of Jesus in a whole array of Christian materials, but we also have evidence for him in materials not written by Christians, by the Jewish historian Josephus, for example, who has a text in Antiquities Book 18, 63 and 64 that describes Jesus as someone who did unusual works, someone who was crucified under Pontius Pilate along with the instigation of Jewish leaders, and someone who formed a movement that became known as Christians.
The very reputable Roman historian Tacitus refers to Jesus being crucified under Pontius Pilate, so that's a central aspect of Christian faith that is confirmed by this Roman historian who's actually quite hostile to Christianity.
There are approximately a dozen references in the oldest Jewish and Greek and Roman sources that are not by any means Christian testimonies. And if one puts together a composite picture of what we can learn from those sources, not only do we know that there was a man, a Jewish teacher, early in the first century in Israel by the name of Jesus. We know that he had a brother named James. We know that his ministry intersected with another man by the name of John, who was famous for calling Jews to baptism. We know that as an adult he gathered disciples. 5 of them are named. We know that the rumors circulated that he was born out of wedlock, that he ran afoul of various Jewish authorities because of what they thought was heretical teaching, that he was ultimately arrested and crucified under the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. That comes from Tacitus in the early 2nd century, so that we can even narrow the date of his death without once consulting Christian sources to Pontius Pilate's time as governor in Judea between 26 and 36 AD. We know that the reports circulated that people claimed to have seen him alive again, and as a result continued to believe in him as Messiah, and even we are told by Pliny to sing hymns to him, worshiping him as if he were a god.
And also, without Jesus existing, you can't really explain the origins of Christianity, the teaching attributed to Jesus and so on. It would just be a historical non-starter.
On top of that, we can trace the unbroken existence of the Christian church, of the community of his followers from the very first decade after his death, probably in AD 30, some would say 33. And so the claim that we can't know Jesus existed is simply absurd. People who would make that charge are very poorly informed.
What I'd always ask with people is to be consistent. So if they want to say we can't know that Jesus was a historical figure, they're also going to have to say we can't know all sorts of other things. So a lot of the time people want to have a harsher rule of evidence when it comes to things about Jesus than they do about other areas.
The claim that Jesus never existed is a myth. The fact is that he was a real person in history, and there's plenty of evidence for his life apart from the Bible. Evidence that confirms the main events of his life as the Bible describes them. But one reason people don't believe the Bible's accounts of Jesus is because of all the miracles in them. He walks on water, he raises the dead, and so on. Next time, we'll explore whether the miracle stories make the Bible's accounts unbelievable.